Hello everyone, I'm Eric Smith, and this is another episode of the Low Budget Review Show. Today I'm talking about Veronica Mars, Mr. Kiss and Tell by Rob Thomas and Jennifer Graham. And this is from Vintage Books. There you go. This is the second Veronica Mars novel. And what's going on in this one is Veronica is hired by an insurance company that represents the Neptune Grand Hotel. A young woman was found beaten and raped, and she accuses an employee of the hotel, and they want to figure out if they're liable, if she's telling the truth, if there's any liability for the Neptune Grand. So they hire Veronica, and she takes the case, of course. More to find out the truth and help the young woman than to help the Neptune Grand. She doesn't care about them. Plus it's a job. But that's it in a nutshell. That's the mystery. She's got to find out what happened to this young woman. And there's a lot more going on. At this point, I'm going to say the events of the movie are fair game here. I'm not going to worry about spoilers from that. So one of the other things going on in here is a carryover from the movie. Anyone who saw that should remember that Weevil tried to help a woman whose car had broken down, and she ended up, it was in a bad neighborhood, and he approached her car and she shot him, and he was arrested for attacking the woman. And so in this book we have his trial, and then some other things that go on with that I won't spoil. So you've got a lot of stuff going on with Weevil. Keith Mars, Veronica's dad, is helping out, digging up evidence and everything, trying to help Weevil. Cliff McCormick is here, and all the great characters. I'm disappointed Vinnie Van Lowe's not in this. I love that character. Sheriff Dan Lamb is as big a douchebag as ever, and he's running for re-election, and he thinks he's running unopposed, but then a dark horse candidate comes out of nowhere to go up against Dan Lamb in the election. So all sorts of stuff going on in here. This is extremely well written. Great noir mystery. When I read these Veronica Mars books, they make me want to smoke and stand at a window with shadows across my face with a tumbler of scotch in my hand. They're very modern, but also very reminiscent of the old, Sam Spade and Philip Marlowe and that sort of thing. Neptune, California has that glitzy side and then that seedy underbelly, and there's a lot of dirty politics and just all sorts of dark stuff going on. And it's very, very good. It's very well told. One of the things I really love about these books, and of course it's because Rob Thomas is one of the authors, is that it really superbly ties in with the movie and the show. There's a lot of media tie-ins out there. Everything from Monk and Murder, She Wrote, both still have series going on. Psych and Burn Notice, Eureka. Some of the newer ones are Grimm and Fringe, Sleepy Hollow. Media tie-ins aren't anything new. I'm not even counting the huge ones like Star Wars and Star Trek. But, you had Man from U.N.C.L.E. and back in the day, Law & Order's done it, CSI's done it. And the thing with most of those, in my experience, the ones that I've read, is that they're all very much standalone stories. almost fill in. Sometimes, I think, like with the Buffy books, there might be a little note at the beginning of the book that says kind of where it takes place in the grand scheme of things, just to give you that little clue. Okay, it takes place between these seasons, or it takes place halfway between this season. And of course, if it's an ongoing show, yeah, the book is going to be really behind the events of the TV show because of just the time it takes to write it and edit and rewrite and all the drafts and then the publishing process. So they have to kind of be standalone stories, and they can't really change too much, especially if it's a series that's still on the air. Not that there's anything wrong with that, as long as it's a well-written, entertaining story. But the thing with this is that it's a true continuation of the overall story. You can see the growth from the very first episode of the TV show Veronica Mars through the movie, then the first book, and then this book. And again, it's got to be because Rob Thomas. I mean, this could be. It is the next episode. You know, as I said, you've got the thing with Weevil from the movie, and then I don't remember too much about it in the first book, but it really plays a part in this book. And there's still Keith Mars dealing with the trauma from the movie when he was in a car that was hit by a truck in an attempt to kill him. He's still dealing with that. And you've got the growth in the relationship between Veronica and Logan. It's just really good. And again, because the show's not on the air and because Rob Thomas is involved, anything can happen. Which is just fantastic. As opposed to those other books, which, not that they were bad, but you kind of know that by the end things are going to be reset. You know, maybe the characters learned a lesson. And I suppose if it's... I don't read the Monk books or the Murder, She Wrote. But I suppose since those shows aren't on the air, they may have some major changes. But, you know, if they're anything like the other tie-ins that I've read, I did read there was a Warehouse 13 that I read. I read all the Psych, all the Burn Notice, and the Psych I didn't like too much. I love the show. I didn't think the books were very good at all. The Burn Notice books were fantastic, though. But again, no major changes in the character, as opposed to this, where it's just, like I said, it could be another episode of the next episode of the show. Also, being a huge fan of the show, I've seen all the episodes more than once. I've seen the movie a few times, and I can really hear the characters in my head, the actors, I guess, their portrayal of the characters, especially Logan. He had a very distinct way of talking, and that I can hear that when I read this. The dialogue, of course, is true to the show, the way the characters talk, and again, if you've watched it, I think you're going to be able to hear that in your head. Excuse me. But even if you've never watched it, it's an accessible book. It's a good mystery. So you don't need to have seen the show. You know, the thing with Weevil is explained enough in here. It's not so much that people that have already seen the movie and know what's what will get bored with it. It's just enough that if you don't know, then you'll be caught up. So it's you could pick this up even if you didn't see the movie or if you haven't watched the show. I don't know why you don't watch the show or haven't seen the movie. You can pick this up if you haven't read the first one. I really hope this series continues. Veronica Mars is such a great character. She's just, you know, she's strong, but she's vulnerable, and she is cynical yet hopeful. I don't know if that makes sense, but you know, she wants to believe that there's good, I guess, and she knows there's good people. Her father, of course, and people like Cliff McCormick. But she wants to believe that the world can be good, but she doesn't really see it that way at this point in time, I don't think. Just because she deals with that seedy underbelly. You know, and because of the things that happened to her in the past, and happened to her friends, and happened to the people that she knows. And this gets kind of dark. I mean, it is about a young woman that's been raped and beaten, and that's not light subject matter. So there are parts that are very funny, because Veronica is a very witty character. Her father's very witty, but there also are some very dark parts, very tense scenes. It's just a fantastic read. It's well written, crisp and clean, and it moves along at a good pace. And you get little vignettes of their everyday life. There's a lot of downtime in the case, not in the writing, but in the case, which I think is realistic. You know, it's not like you see on TV where everything happens just one thing right after the other. Ooh, they get the DNA evidence and they turn it into the lab, and within a few hours they seem to have the information. That's not the case here. They have to wait for things. They have to, you know, live their lives, and it's not boring at all. You know, when you get these scenes with Veronica and Logan, or there's cats hissing at each other over here. Veronica and her father have daughter-daddy dinners, something like that. And I like those scenes. I like those little moments between the characters, because, as I've said in plenty of these videos, character is the most important thing. And these are fantastic characters. Did you hear that? Hissing. I miss Vinnie Van Lowe. I love that guy, portrayed by Ken Marino, one of my favorite actors. He's not in here. Dick Casablancas, another character that I love, because he's just so skeevy. But he's mentioned, but he doesn't put in an appearance, which is a little disappointing, but doesn't take away from my enjoyment of this book. That's significant, that hotel key there. So there's a couple characters I missed, but everybody else, Mac and Wallace and Leo D'Amato is here. And some new characters are introduced. The person that's running against Sheriff Lamb. Hopefully, we'll see more of her. Like I said, I really hope this continues. I checked online. I couldn't find anything about another book coming out, but this one just came out very recently. I think January is when it was released officially. At least the physical book. There's a ton of reviews on Amazon, so maybe the Kindle was out, or maybe I'm just slow getting to it. I just got it last week. Had to finish what I was reading so I could get to this, because I always look forward to Veronica Mars. So that's about it, I think. Don't think there's anything else as far as plot that I need to cover. I mentioned characters and how great everybody is, and how I hear voices. I hear voices in my head. So yeah, I mean, if you're a Veronica Mars fan, you really need to pick this up and read the continuing saga of Veronica and everybody else. Not a lot of dangling plot threads. I don't think there are any dangling plot threads here, but that doesn't mean it can't continue. But it does mean it's self-contained, so you could just pick this up. You don't have to have seen the show. If you're a mystery fan, if you like noir, you know, this could very easily fit into the hard case crime books. I don't know if any of you out there are familiar with hard case crime imprint. That's the word I was looking for moments ago. And I'm glancing around because I have a bunch of them. But they're, you know, noir, hard case, or, you know, hard-boiled detectives and dames. And a lot of the hard case stuff is reprints, but there are some authors putting out new stuff. Max Allan Collins, who I'll probably review one of these days, because I try to pick up all his hard case crime stuff. It's really good. But this would fit in. It fits into that, even though Veronica's just a petite blonde of 29 years old. I believe is how old she is at this point. She's still a hard-boiled detective. You know, she doesn't take any crap from anybody. And she does what it takes, whatever it takes. Well, she does what she needs to do to get the job done. And, you know, again, fighting the corrupt sheriff, working in the seedy underbelly. So, I mean, if you just like good storytelling, if you like a good mystery, if you like hard-boiled detectives, pick it up. It's a good read. I really hope they do another one. I think that's the third time I've said that, because I really hope they do another one. It's just good stuff. I was late to the Veronica Mars party. I think I started watching it around season 3, the last season. But man, I was hooked. And so glad they got to make the movie, and so glad they're doing the books. So that's it. As always, I'll have a link for the book in the description down below. If you have any comments, questions, or corrections, please put them in the comments below. Comments will be open to spoilers. Just please be kind and put a spoiler warning if you're going to get into anything specific. And please like, share, and subscribe. Pick up Veronica Mars, Mr. Kiss and Tell. And I think that's it. So until next time, read more books.